Brothers and sisters, sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum. Suleiman Raheem here. Let's slay some demons. Brothers and sisters, we've arrived at the greatest and worst time of the history of the universe. As I've been trying to explain, we have two parts, two events, two major events. That's the initial event, the creation, self-creation, and the restoration. Universe expands and contracts. Universe expands and contracts. Expansion, that's the self-creation, until it maximum expansion, and then it contracts. That's the restoration. Both of those are critical times. The expansion is the creation aspect, where we made the heavens and the earth, put everything out there. All the energy you see out there used to be here, as the Quran teaches you. The heavens and earth were one, and then we expanded the heavens. So all the energy used to be here with fierce beings. That's under that intense pressure, we self-create ourselves. Now at the maximum expansion, all the energy is out there, and now, and doing that, it takes 6,000 years to make the transition between the expansion and the contraction. During that time, we suffer from energy deprivation because all the energy is out there, not here. That's the period of Yaqub. As I said, he stepped in and said, okay, his solution to the problem was to let us make man a new ruler in the earth, Adam. Who would make mischief and shed blood, means he's a weak character. But he required less energy to maintain himself. Because they all have the same amount of energy. It's just how it's distributed. You have to understand that we live in a pressure system, a pressure universe. Force and pressure are the same. Everything is, force is it. There's nothing beyond force. Without force, there's nothing. Force is the most fundamental reality. And pressure is just force spread out. And we all have equal force. All have equal energy. Every one of us, without exception. It just has distributed. You can take and you can live in a shit farm or a diamond mine. It's up to you. It's how you distribute that energy. We have the same amount. Now, the problem we had is that we required more energy to maintain ourselves than Yaqub's creation, caving. That's the whole reason why he produced them. He produced a stripped down version of us that didn't require as much energy. No accessories, no power windows, no power brakes, no, so forth. You see. So by doing so, he had enough, that his creation, though weak, he had enough energy to maintain a civilization, to maintain themselves. And so the idea was bad civilization was better than no civilization. That's the choice we had. But that's only that 6,000 year window. That 6,000 year window now has come to a close. Now the energy is returning. It's momentous in heavens and earth, but it comes you but of a sudden. That means it comes back in waves, approximately every 50 years. It comes back in waves. And so we're energized. Our first positive wave was 1860s. We broke our physical chains. The second one, 50 years later, we broke our mental chains. The third one, 50 years later, we broke our social chains in the 60s. And now, 50 years later, we're about to break all chains. So we will have enough energy to form our own civilization, to form our own nation, to unify our own nation again. Our nation has been divided for 6,000 years. So now we have enough energy to bring our nation back together. That's what it talks about, the resurrection. And this is happening before your eyes. We've been energized. The energy comes to the earth, is momentous in the heavens and earth, but it comes you but of a sudden. It means it has to come to earth has to absorb it, and earth takes and regenerates the energy in a form that we can use, transforms it into the form that we can use. That's what's going on right now. So we're seeing black folks being energized. I feel energized. Do you feel energized? I feel more energized every day. That's what's happening. We will have enough energy to unite and set up restore our civilization. Like, it will be a nation that will never be destroyed, because we're just going on into 76 trillion years until we get back to total contraction again, and just repeat itself forever without end. So I just want to lay our foundation out there. Okay. So we understand the time frame we're in right now. So right now we're in a conflict. We're in a conflict between Adam, made to make mischief, shed blood, who is given that 6,000 year window, a stripped down version of us, who wants to continue. He cannot continue. There's no way he can continue, because he was made weak, made in haste, and therefore, as the energy returns, that means the pressure on the earth, because more energy, more pressure. Earth is not getting any bigger, so the more pressure. But he cannot withstand the pressure. He cannot withstand this level of pressure. The pressure has been increasing on him since the 1860s. He's been at wars and everything. He won't survive this one. There's no way. He cannot survive the pressure that's being imposed to him now. And you see his people, his demons, his children, his black-faced children are demanding nothing less than change. He cannot change. The system's reality is based on his nature. For him to change it, he'd have to change his nature. Otherwise, he'll be oppressed by that system. He's not going to allow a system that's going to oppress him. No one would do that in their right mind. So we have an impasse. We call it Mexican standoff. They have to change, and they will not change. They cannot change, because the system is an extension of their nature. You have to understand that their laws is an extension of their nature. Their law enforcement is there to enforce those laws. To change them would means it would be oppressive to their nature, because it will go against their nature. They will not do that. They have to be forced to do it. The changes that are in place right now are very adverse to them. The changes that they've been imposed upon them since the 1860s are very adverse to them. They like it like it was before. They don't like it like it is now. They won't tell you that, but they do not like it as it is now. They liked it like it was before 1860s, when we were enslaved, and that was their system, and that's the way their nature, it was reflected in nature. And then as we became energized, the two cultures start colliding. And so we start forcing changes upon them, changes they don't want. You have to understand, that's the way they want. They want it back like it was before. They cannot tell you that, but that's what they want. Because that's their nature. They was comfortable with that. But we were not. So now as we rise, right, we're putting pressure on them to change. They don't want to change. They're resistant changing. So along comes Donald Trump, and he speaks to their nature. They want to admit it. He speaks to their nature. So what they've done is they've taken and given you their mind, which is self-destructive to you. If you're running with your enemy's mind, that means it's self-destructive because his mind is opposed to you. So if you're running with that, you're self-destructive. You can see why blacks are acting like they're acting with this Democratic Party. Is totally powerful. They're totally against black people, but they're on board with all of it, frantically on board, because they're running software that's against them. They're running their enemy's software, their mind, their religion. That's their mind. You have software and you have hardware. They run the wrong software. And they wonder why they're unhappy and so forth. But you have the demons. They are the devil's seed. They're not us. They look like us, walk like us, talk like us, but they are not us. Now they can run the devil's mind, the master's mind, enemy's mind. They can run it because that's the hardware they have. So it's not a problem for them, but it's a problem for us. So I just thought I'd lay that background there so I understand what we're talking about here. So the two cultures are colliding. And in fact, this culture, the Jacob's reacted devils, their culture is in conflict with the entire planet. Because the entire planet, for the most part, are original people. And we saw in the 60s, they also energized. Not only were we energized, but they energized. Because all these nations broke away under European control around the 60s. Africa broke its colonization in the 60s. In that period of time, China broke their ties with the West during that period of time. The Middle East and India broke their ties during that middle time. It's around World War II. These things, it's not a coincidence. So there was a break. Now, that was what the pressure caused then. But this pressure here will cause not only a break, the breakaway has already happened. Remember, these nations are rising. So in other words, first you have to break out the chains before you can go to war with your enemy. If you have your chains, you have to break the chains before you go to war with it. So they broke the chains. Now they'll be at war. America will be at war with everyone because they're going to try to maintain this system. The Europeans are going to try to maintain this system, and they cannot because these nations are rising and they want to go back to their systems that reflect their culture. You have to understand that principle. You make laws that express of your culture, of your nature. So if your nature is contrary to someone else's, then you'll be in conflict with them. And so right now, the Europeans have dominated the planet. They only had 6,000 years to do it. They do not have the structure to withstand this pressure that they have been exposed to now. And all other nations now want to assert their cultures. So there's a conflict because Europeans, specifically Americans, demanded that they adopt America's culture, their democracy, their capitalism, all such things, because that makes sense to them. That's their nature. And they're imposing it upon the whole world. And the whole world is rejecting it because they want to follow their culture, their nature. I can't say that enough. It's a very simple concept. But our people are dead, so they don't understand it. So we're going to go in here and have a little quick, well, I'm not going to say quick presentation, I have a short presentation just trying to give you a timeline of what's going on now, what you can expect in the next few days. We're going to be addressing specifically chapter 12 of the Angel, called Revelations, about the war that's about to break out. Now, I want to say one other thing about that. Brothers and sisters, there's so much information out there. And I tell you as much as I can. Some things I cannot talk about because telling you is telling them. But I give you much reference. I say, okay, look at this book, look at that book, check this out, check it out. That requires for you to study. Because if I sit here and try to attempt to tell you everything about these books, we'll be here forever. Because there's so much information. And then you're not learning anything. I can take you in the gym and show you all the weights, showing you all the weights, and you know how to use them. How is that helping you unless you actually use them? So you have to study the angel if you will wish to get the benefits of it. Installing it, but not executing it. You can have operating system on your computer, but if your computer's turned off, what good is it? You have to turn it on. It's like this thing I was telling you. I said a couple of days ago, I was telling you about the king of the north and the king of the south. And I talked about how he would be illegitimate and things like that. And that means that's a cue for you to go in and look in it and see it for yourself. And you would understand what's going on right now if you took and read it and study it. So it said he'll be betrayed by people that sit at his own table. But it says, right, the next sentence is the war. So it's trying to tell you it will be a time that the war will start. You have to pay attention to these things. I'm not blaming anyone because it's very difficult, especially Daniel, very difficult. It took me 30 years to be studying this, and very subtle stuff. And I don't expect anyone to go out there and just pick it up overnight. But in the process of studying it, that's when you get the benefit. In the process of starting to lift weight, even if it's lightweight, you're starting to build strength. So you build heavier weights. But if you don't lift any weight, you're not going to get anything out of it. So it's up to you to study or study not. And we have to make sure we talk to our brothers and sisters, we make sure we right and exact. I see some of you saying things that are incorrect, and you're not helping yourself, and you're confusing our brothers and sisters because I make these terms are very precise, Angel's very precise, and I try to use a very precise language as much as I can in the process of trying to get this information to you. I'm very precise of what a demon is. A demon and a devil are not the same thing. So if you want to be helpful, make sure that you keep the terms straight because they're very important. Because if you don't, then we end up being the same thing as Farrakhan because people go look and they say, this doesn't make any sense. So if they say that doesn't make any sense, maybe other stuff don't make any sense either. A demon is a person who has a devil father, but other than a devil mother. That's a demon. And as far as, and then when it comes to our coming here, we were born in 1555. We were not broken. They never broke us. They couldn't. If they took our children, that's important. Because if you say they broke us, that means they had the ability to break us. That means they could break us again. See, Farah was very precise in his language. And when you go back to study it, you see there's no errors whatsoever. None. See, he says they would put our parents in cages, mother and father together, male and female, And you know what would result? And when the baby happened, they would take the baby away, separated from the mother and father. He would never know his mother and father, never see them, never know anything about them, never know they even existed. They grew up, raised him up like that. He being black and they being white, and they say, you just like the monkeys. You're a monkey just like them. So they taught you as an animal from birth. How would you know any different? That's how they did it. That's how they did it. That's why it took 64 years to do it. So let's be careful about our language, brothers and sisters. And we shouldn't be threatening our brothers and sisters either. If you don't do this, you're going to tribulation. That's not what I'm telling you, brothers and sisters. It's not what Angel is saying. We're not threatening them. The seed of Abraham is going home. I'm trying to be as clear as I can. Every day I'm trying to get clearer and clearer and clearer, right, to you. See, as we're getting closer and closer. So people, oh, well, I can't just say it. I just can't jump from 1 + 1 to calculus. Can't do that. Because the few people that are paying attention would be totally lost. So I'm making it clearer and clearer and clearer. But if those who study, you understand why I'm doing it and what's going on, because these things I'm telling you was right before your face all the time anyway. It's right there in the key. It was right there in the key all the time anyway. Just like the thing about the Levites. They was always different from the other ones. See? But I have to bring you along. Like it says, line upon line, row upon row, as that says in verse upon verse, as it says in the Bible. You have to give piece at a time to build up. See? The fact that the elect, the seed of Abraham, is not the Levites. Elijah is not a seed of Abraham. If you looked at it carefully, he was never part of that. He was part of the African nation. See, the African nation represents the prophets. There's good prophets and bad prophets. He's one of the good ones. There was 3 bad ones and 3 good ones. It was right there. And so I'm bringing it clearer and clearer and clearer as we move closer and closer to this. Like I said, I tell you, I'm telling them. And the reason I never said very careful about talking about the true seed of Abraham, because it said they were hidden. That's what they're after. That's what they want. They want to get them. So the Nation of Islam is not the seed of Abraham. They're Levites. The followers of Elijah Muhammad were Levites. The only exception they say in the Bible was Suleiman, because he's the one that came to John the Baptist, and he demanded that John the Baptist baptize him or initiated Islam. John the Baptist wanted to do it. He said, hey, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy to do this to you. See? Because you're an Israelite and I'm a Levite. But then you have to look into it. But then Jesus did not want to accept any John's followers. Another place, a woman comes to ask Jesus to take and heal her daughter, and Jesus says, it's not for the dogs, it's for my people. So he came for the seed of Abraham. But he also healed the Levites, the demon-possessed man. But he wouldn't take them with him. They're adopted. They're adopted brothers and sisters. It's just like if you have a family and you have adopted children, you treat them as you treat your own children. You should. But they don't get your inheritance because they're not your children. So the Levites, they're going home, they're going to tribulation, they're going to the scenic route. But they're coming home with us. They suffered as we suffered, so they were grafted in. They will be with us in the hereafter. But the kingdom belongs to us, not them. But they will share in it. I know they don't like this too bad. Because they want to tell you something else. They want to distort the scripture, corrupt the scripture, or whatever. That's up to them. That's their problem. Everything I'm telling you, you go in the scripture and see it, and it makes more sense. Because what they were saying made no sense. It makes more sense. Because it's the bright, piercing light. It's the light that separated darkness from the light. You didn't know when it was dark, you could tell who was who. But now you see who is who. You see liars out there. Farrakhan, Silas. They're all liars. Because here's the light, they reject it. So they hurt their own people. As far as Farrakhan is concerned, it doesn't matter because he's lost anyway. He's a demon. Under any circumstances, are we going to accept many demons? Because they're devil's children. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's go into the presentation and hopefully you understand. But again, try to be careful, be precise in your language, because you could cause confusion. And if something's not clear, then ask me. Be precise in your language. See? A demon is a demon, a devil is a devil. Be precise in your language. Okay, brothers and sisters, let's move on to the presentation. Okay, brothers and sisters, time, unprecedented time. That's where we are. The unprecedented time. Time of unprecedented trouble. Again, these are some of the symbols in the angel. And on the left here, the original nation is referred to as the 7 golden lampstands. There's also 7 lampstands, that's the Caucasian nation, but the 7 golden is symbolic of the original nation, both in Daniel and in the angel. Gold is also symbolic of Islam. The 7 eyes, that's also symbolic of the original nation and the angel. 7 spirits, also. There were 3 unclean spirits. Those are the demons. Okay. Then you got the horns. I'm not going to speak to that right now. Then on the right side, you see the Asian nation, which the Arabs are the top part of it. The top part, every nation has 6 wings. The top 2 wings are the Islamic part. That's your definition. That's where you get the golden calf from. Golden calf represents the Sunni. Sunnis are part of the Middle East and India, and that region all is part of the Asian nation. And the Sunnis are the Islamic part of it. So they're the golden calf. And we see the earth below there, Gog and Magog, they're part of the earth. Earth only has 4 parts to it. The one in the center of each one of these, that's the Lord of that nation or the god in the case of Farad. Okay. Okay. Farad goes to war. We talk about chapter 12, referring to chapter 12, okay, of the angel. Hang on a second here. Oops. Okay. This is chapter 12, and it's talking about this woman, which is the original nation. She already fled. She fled to desolate. The desolate is America. What they're talking about is the one at the bottom down there, the demon, the greenish yellow one, which is, they call it pale in some translation. Okay. And it says she fled to desolate, having been prepared from the garden in order they may be nourished her 1,260. That's 42 years. That means when the nation of Islam fell because it was beheaded, had no leadership, right? Okay, that means from 1977 until the present, fast 42 years, right? That's what should be nourished. It said who nourished her. It should be there, so 42 years. So he says from the God. So the God he's talking about right there is talking about Satan. Okay? Okay. And then immediately thereafter, so that leads you to 2019, right? Then immediately after, it says in the next verse, and war occurred in heaven. So that's giving you a hint. This would happen right after the 42 years. The 42 years coincide with the son of perdition, the mouth. Okay. And war occurred in heaven, Michael with Farad and the angels of him, which are the Shia, right? Uh, they went to war with the dragon and his angels. The dragon is the house of Sod. That's what the dragon is. And his angels are Gog, Magog, and Satan. America, Britain, and false Israel. They go to war, right? Some translations say that Michael went to war and the dragon and angels fought back. If you read this carefully, right, and you understand the sixth seal, then it says that Michael and his angels, the Shia, they initiate the war. They go first. They attack. They're attacking in response to what America's doing to Iran, but it's still the war act. This war, when this breaks out, this particular war, right, starts with Michael and his angels, Farad and the Shia. See? Now, it doesn't say how it was provoked, whether Israel attacked or something, or Israel bombed something. And anyway, the actual war, when the actual war breaks out, because a lot of things been happening. They assassinated this person, all that kind of stuff. But that hasn't kindled the war. But it says right now, and this is going to happen any day now, the war will actually officially break out full blown. That's this war I'm talking about here. Full blown war. Okay? And it says the dragon and his angels are defeated and thrown out. See? Thrown all the way out. That's the war in the Middle East. So we see right now, we're building up there. We're not there yet. Okay. 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 Let's go on. Now it talks about the sun became black as moon whole and sackcloth of hair become blood. This was talking about right here. The top one there That's the fifth trumpet, right? Yes, 7 trumpets. The fifth trumpet, that's the one where there's blown. It says he goes first. The fifth trumpet goes first. The sixth follows. And the sixth one is what's released in the first 4. First 4 was held back. Understand that clearly. The first 4 was held back. So when you read, you see the first one went, second one, third one, fourth one went. That's what they say there. But when you read further, you find out they was held back by the sixth one. So the first one to go is the fifth, right? Okay. And the reason why I have the blood here, because the African nation also called blood, partly because that's the color, right? So it says the sackcloth of hair, right? That's also the witnesses are called sackcloth. So it's talking about a certain period of time, right? So it says the sun became black. That's what it means, the sun, the lamb, because it goes to the nation of Islam. Elijah Muhammad's nation of Islam, right? That's what it means, the sun became black. As the moon whole, and became blood, and the sackcloth hair became blood. That's what you're looking at, right? Because the witnesses are called for sackcloth, and the moon. That's what it's talked about. Some of the period of time in an event. See, there it is. Sackcloth, and the moon whole became blood as the sun became black. That's what that's talking about, brothers and sisters. In a specific time frame. Then what happens? And this, okay, there you go. Well, this thing acts up every now and then, but this is where it talks about, I believe in chapter 7, where it says, the one who he has a seal of living God, that's the Lamb. He says, he tells them to hold back the 4 winds, hold them back. See, this is where they was held back at. So he can seal his elect. That's who was sealed. The top and the bottom are the ones that are sealed. That's what's talked about here. So he leaves there and goes right back to Abraham's seed. He's with the Levites. They didn't listen to him. They rejected him. They didn't pay attention to him. Right? So he went and talked to him. They didn't. That's what has happened. Okay? They're not paying. Oh man, they scriptees and everything. Hey, Elijah Muhammad say this. He's the last messenger. All this stuff. They talk all this garbage. That's not scriptural. Right? They're full of demons and scriptees. And the man's they're played by demons. Right? So they don't listen. See? There's somebody that want to listen. Read the demon-possessed man in Mark. They want to, but they're restrained by the scriptees and the demons. And Legion, Louis Eugene Grounds, letting you know why backwards, that's Farrakhan. Okay, now, this is 2020. Tension increased between America and Iran. Peace deal between the Sunni and false Israel is breaking out, right? They say peace and security. America's plagued by the locusts and by 2 plagues. The locusts and who's the locusts? Locusts are the demon blacks, Christian blacks, right? Blacks is a generic term. Our nation was corrupted. So anyone that has any black blood, they're considered black, but not original. See, the demons are the devils, those the one that was sown by enemy, as it talks about in the chaff and the wheat. See? So they look like us, talk like us, walk like us, but they're not us. They're demons. And so they're the plague of locusts. So America's struck by 2 plagues, the plague of locusts. The plague of locusts will last 5 months. So it depends on whether you say May or June. If it's May, then this will be the last, June will be the last month. In 5 months. And then the second plague of 5 months will be much worse than the first one. That's what's talking about here. Now this gets back to the 6th seal again, right? And when you open up the 6th seal, the shaking great occurred, and the sun became black, As sackcloth hair, the moon hole became his blood. We just talked about that. So to give me a time frame, that would happen first, right? And the stars fell into the earth. As a fig tree is destroying the unripe figs by a wind great being shaken, right? What that's showing you is that's the war. That's where they are right now on this thing. America's at war with Iran and Syria at this point in time. It's not happened yet. It's about to happen. And because it says, false Israel is called the fig tree. So its unripe figs would be America and Britain. That means they was pretending they planned on doing something, but this war happened before they was able to do it. That's why I said the figs are unripe. We'll see that later. They was planning on getting rid of us because their greatest fear was that if their war breaks out, that we would join to enemies, then leave the land, join against their enemies and fight against them. That's their greatest fear. And so they were acting on that fear. That's why they plan to get rid of us. But the war happens before they have a chance to do it. Before it goes to action before they have a chance to do it. Okay, and then heaven and okay, you can read the rest of it. Now, their war breaks out in the Middle East. Tried and she go to war against the Sunnis, America, false Israel, and Britain. Now, one thing I want to mention here, you see up top where it says AC, that's the seed of Abraham. Remember there was blood there before, right? Okay, maybe we should go backwards. Let me go backwards and see if I can show easier. See, that blood is the blood of the Lamb. We're going to talk about that in a minute. That's the blood of the Lamb, the top two. That's the fifth and sixth trumpet. They're the blood of the Lamb. See, because they're on that same level. Okay. And notice the blood of the Lamb right there is one of them is down here with the shield or the witnesses. Keep that in mind. That's the blood of the Lamb is down there with that one. Okay, we talked about the war breaks out in the Middle East, right? And here now, this is where comes the blood of the Lamb again. I heard a voice great in heaven saying, right now comes the salvation, the power, kingdom of God of us, right? And the authority of the Christ of him, right? So the Christ is the Lamb, the God's fraud. They're together there. Because the throne, the accuser of the brother of us, accusing them, citing the God of us day and of night. That's America, right? They're the accuser of us, and they conquered him, and they conquered him through the blood of the Lamb, and to the witness, and to the word of witnesses. See there? The witnesses and the blood of the Lamb. That's what he's talking about there. That's how I conquered them. Okay, that's what it means. It says they love not the, and they love so long until death. That means they kept striving. They just not stop until death. It means they have to totally risen. Now, I've talked about this before. If you got a transliteral version, you find out that death is not the pale horse. You read it carefully. That's a different one. They say he's on top of that one. That means he's the one above it. So that means now the witnesses, they're next to death because they love till death. That means they rose up to they wasn't there before. They was under the bottom. So now they rose. That's what's trying to tell you. So. Okay, for I and the she are victorious. House of Saud is chased back to India from whence they came. The angel says the House of Saud, those people that claim to be Sunni, they're not even Arabs. So the Indians, that was thrown by British. That's what it says how sought out. They're not even really British, really Arabs, right? And it says the Sunni Arabs are defeated and are fleeing Arabia, Mecca, Medina, and all other and all of Arabia and all, well, that's a typo there. Arabia are under control of Iran and Shia. So Iran and Shia under Farad has total control of what's called Arabia. America and Britain are kicked out of the Middle East, period. False Israel is abandoned, laid cease to, and overthrown into the hands of eventual Palestinians. I would not want to be Israeli when false Israel is overthrown. America and Britain are now at war with China, North Korea, Russia, and EU. So when it falls, after it gets kicked out of the Middle East, it gets into war with these other people. Okay, you see that building up now. America and Britain at war with the world execute their plan to kill all the black people who are in open rebellion, who they fear will join their enemies and turn on them. This was talking about right here. See, that's what Adam and Eve told you. Do not eat a tree of knowledge of good and child of evil. That's what it means, consume, annihilate. If you eat them, you consume, annihilate them. So that's their plan. So this point, they say, we are war. America's never seen a war like this. This even comes to their own land. There's anything like this. You expect to go nuclear. Fear has gripped America, right, like a vice. And you know how paranoid these people are. You saw what happened in World War II. They got in fact with Japan that they started. And then they rounded up all the Japanese. They were American citizens. They put them in a concentration camp. They loved them far more than they loved you. But it says in this case, they're going to take and put you in a concentration camp and to kill you there. They're going to kill, they wipe you out there. So at this point, right, this was their tanks are rolling. The blacks can see tanks surrounding the inner cities, right? Trump will still be president. He's not going to die in this COVID. He's going to win the election. They don't have to see. He already has disposition to. He has already has disposition for it anyway. But they're going to surround the cities, come in to get you. And all this thing has been set up. You see all these white kids out there with these demonstrations stuff. A lot of them out there, they invoke to push you on. You understand? To keep you doing this stuff so they can declare you a terrorist organization. So it has some legitimacy of when they take and round you up. See, I'm not going into more detail of that. That's what's happening there. So they're getting ready to execute their plan. Understand? And before they can execute the plan, Fly hits them. See? Hits them with 4 winds. See? Because that's what happens. Suleiman, at that point, what's happening here? Oh boy. Stuck. Okay, here you go. At this point, film this one. Okay, that's an error. That's an error. Okay, what happens here, I'm not going to correct it because I think if I correct it, this thing might go crazy. At this point, Suleiman is down there at the NOI. He shouldn't be up top there. He should be down there with the NOI. Right? And he calls upon Farad because he's there. He sees all the tanks moving in. He calls Farad to hit them with the 4 winds. That's what it said in Ezekiel. O son of man, prophesy, Suleiman prophesies toward the 4 winds. See? So he's calling down the 4 winds to stop them from executing their plan to wipe out all black people. Or, I don't care, demons, whatever, I want to get rid of all of them. So Farad hits them hard with the 4 winds. Gives time for black folks to come together. All unite. See? And Farad's called upon by Suleiman to release the 4 winds to defend the blacks that are under siege, about to be attacked. All blacks unite. but a schism arises between them. The demons seek reconciliation with their swine and devil's daddies. The original people seek to leave. That's where he destroyed the demons as man. He says, please don't make me leave the country. He said, I want to go back with my swine daddies. Just let me go back with them. See, yet, they wanted to leave. But Jesus said, no, you cannot. You must go back and get the rest. And so the demons are given their wish. They're thrown back to their devil daddies. They get to fight and they go off a cliff together, right? And the witnesses take their place. They take their place. And there's Elijah. See? That's the New Jerusalem. And Levites, right? They're still in the war. The war is part of the tribulation. Okay? That's it, brothers and sisters. That's it. That gets you up to a point where because we're home at this point. See, when the witness is not coming here, so we're there. We're there. We moved over there. See, and how the Ninevites go into tribulation along this soon. See, they're fighting against each other. That's what it says. It says the woman, right? Let's see if I can find that. Well, I don't think it says the woman. It says the dragon became wroth. Remember, the dragon represents Sunnis. They became wrathful at the woman, the one who kept the commandments and everything. That's in the eye. See, went after her. I see it, and then we're going to close out. No, it's not there. Okay, brothers and sisters. Okay, brothers and sisters, that's it. Hope you understand. I'm trying to get some more insights about what you expect to happen now. The seed of Abraham will be delivered. See? They're going to be raised at the last trump, right? Going to be raised. Okay? When the fourth wind blows, as Lazarus, he will be raised, and they will all be included in the Lamb's Book of Life. Some are raising now. Some are rising now. So, however, and that's Lazarus is about to be raised. They're going to be delivered. The tribe of Levites, they will not be delivered. That's the NOI. But it will be cleaned up. It says, the Lord you seek will suddenly come to his temple. Numbers says they'll be cleaned up as gold and silver. The Levites are the silver. The real nation are the gold. Silver can also be characterized as being black. I'm trying to explain these things, brothers and sisters. So you had the silver, right? Silver can look black. That's why the nation of Islam is cast as being black. In the original nation, the tribe of Shabazz is characterized as being gold. The gold is delivered. The silver is not. It has to go through a tribulation period. See? So be careful, brothers and sisters. Try to understand, and when you speak, try to speak correct. See, these mad people say a lot of things. They criticize people eating pork and carrying on. Well, no, we shouldn't be eating pork. But the point is there will be no pork in the hereafter, so that won't be a problem with it. There won't be any pork. There won't be any pigs, swine. So you can't eat something that doesn't exist anymore. And our people was made to eat that. It's not, there was a poster by nature. In fact, I'll say a quick thing right here. Some of you probably don't never heard of sugar daddy. I don't know if they even make it anymore. Sugar daddy candy. It's a piece of candy, right? Like caramel. It's on a stick called sugar daddy. I'm not sure they make it anymore. It's popular when I was a child. Where that came from is that you people from the South heard about salt pork, and they couldn't get the black children, right? The original people, children. They was averse to eating pork. They couldn't get them to eat it, right? So what they did is they took a stick and they stuck it into the soft pork. It's like a sugar daddy, like something like this, right? But that, you know, the stick and that sugar daddy, but it wouldn't be circular, right? And then they dip it in molasses. So a child is sucking on the molasses, and eventually get used to the soft pork. That's how they did it. So we're not here to criticize or beat up on our brothers and sisters. They're dead. See, we're not here to threaten them. See? And we're not here to threaten the demons either, because to threaten them means you're trying to correct them. We ain't trying to correct them. We're just telling the truth on them. Why be bothered? Right? Why even be bothered? Because they're hurting our people. They're hurting the Levites and they're hurting the tribe of Shabazz. They're hurting both. So we had to, that's one of the things Jesus did to heal the demons of this man, to heal the nation of Islam, by removing the demons out of it. And the demons said, please stop, don't, you know, the demons said, stop put outing us. That's what he said. There's two things he said to Jesus. Like, stop tormenting us. And he said torment because Jesus was exposing them. Read the thing. He says, they stopped tormenting. They didn't tell what nature torment was, because they said Jesus kept, because the reason the torment was Jesus kept exposing them. And they kept asking not to. And then it got weak and they started losing. And so they thought, well, let's don't make us go out of the country. They didn't want to leave out the country. Farrakhan said, we don't want to go leave the country, we want to stay here. See? And then so they asked to be thrown back there, devil daddies. Okay, brothers and sisters. Hopefully this is information. Hope you understand. See? I'm making it clear and clear. I told you I'll make clear and clear every day. See? But when this war breaks out, it will be totally clear, 100%. And if you just study, those of you who are studying, you know who's who and what's what now. It's very clear who the liars are out there. Because there was the truth. Forget about demons, because we don't want them anyway. But those other people who are truth, they'd be on behind this message. In fact, they'd not tell you everything you need to know about them. Assalamu alaikum.